I'm going to make Greek today. I have lots of recipes to do. I'm also going to show you how to make a homemade flatbread. It's the first time I've made it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just show you a quick marinade for the chicken. I'm going to get some fresh lemons and I'm going to put some zest. Remember what I said about the lemon zest? Don't go too far down. Just to sort of like go a little bit just right off the skin, because when you get deeper, it gets very tart. So I'm just going to do a little bit of zest for the lemon. And then I'm going to use the juice inside. Here we go with this. And I'm getting my zest from my lemon. Then what we're going to do, we're going to chop it in half. And we're going to squeeze the lemon out of it. This is a nice juicy one, so we're going to juice from that. I just want to show you how much it takes out of the lemon. It's like amazing. Then I'm going to grate 3 garlic cloves in here. I don't go all the way down. They say marinate this at least for 4 hours. I actually marinated one last night. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon of oregano. 1 teaspoon of paprika. And then 1 teaspoon of onion powder. If you have a glass bowl, put it in a glass bowl. Don't use metal, just because when it's overnight, I don't like things being metalled overnight. And then we're going to put some salt, a little bit of salt and pepper. Pink salt. We're going to let that sit overnight. And that will be delicious. So there's your chicken marinade. I'm going to put this to the side, wash my hands, and then you cook this on the stovetop. I used a griddle pan. Just make sure it's cooked to 165, start it on low, and then really do it up after. You're going to see my chicken there that I already
make sure it's good and done.
So let me move this way.
If you're touching something like meat, make sure that you're washing your hands in between when you start working with vegetables.
There's always cross-contamination, so you have to be very careful.
And make sure you're washing or switching out your cutting board too, if you've been cutting stuff like raw meat on there.
So now I'm going to make a tzatziki sauce. First of all, I'm going to grate my cucumber into a rag. And the reason you do this is because you have to get all the water out of it. It's better if you have a rag, obviously like a cheesecloth or something like that. I'm using Greek yogurt.
There's vegan versions of it that taste pretty much exactly the same.
I'm going to squeeze it out, and you're going to get as much juice as you can out of it. Because otherwise your tzatziki sauce will be very watery. So I'm going to just hold that for a minute. Empty this and get it ready. And then for the tzatziki sauce, I have some mint here, fresh mint. And then I'm going to chop up. We're going to chop this quick. Still, thyme is the other one. Oh, you know what? It was actually a fresh thyme, which I have, is for the chicken as well. That should have been added in. They did say dried, and I didn't have dried. That's why I didn't have it in front of me. The mint is optional, but I thought
that flavor in there is nice.
We're going to open this up. Like, we've got what we can out of it. You see it's quite dry. We're going to disregard the rag. And I've soaked all my herbs, by the way. I always soak my herbs because sand falls to the bottom. You can pull them up and keep doing that until it's clear. So we're going to add that to our chopping. So we're going to do that. And then I'm just going to grate a little bit of fresh garlic in here. Again, just a touch. And then we're going to add our Greek yogurt. Now, see, I have some Greek yogurt here.
You want to make sure you don't have any sort of
flavor. Greek yogurt, a cup of, I'm just going to guesstimate it. Now, the next thing is the actual flatbread. You never know, if you run out of bread and you want something like this, you can make it so simple.
And it's fast, too. It's not like you're baking a loaf of bread and you have to let it rise and do all that.
It's 2 cups of all-purpose flour, which I've already put in there. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. That's already in there, and a teaspoon of salt. So those are all my dry ingredients I put in there already. Now it's 1 tablespoon of maple syrup and 2 of olive oil, which I measured out already, and then water. And the water is 3 cups, but if it's a little dry, you can keep adding to it. So how they ask us to do it is to make like a little well
in the middle of it.
And then you have to knead this for like 10 minutes. So I'm just going to do the well in the mix, and then I have some that's already kneaded, ready to go. So there's my 1 tablespoon of maple syrup and then the olive oil. So they said make a well and then add some water And honestly, I'm going to have to get my hands in on this and I'll just have to wash them off. So I'm going to, until you get like kind of like a ball.
So you just add water
until you get it. It's just around 3/4 of a cup. So I just add a little bit more. If it's a little bit wet, you can just add a touch of flour. Let's add a little bit more. It's going too slow. Now I'm going to more or less get into a ball. Now it's going.
Sort of holds its shape.
The ingredients are so simple.
Very basic, but what comes out of it is incredible.
That's got to the point now where I have to knead it for like 10 minutes. You can put it on the board and knead it with a little bit of flour. So let me wash my hands. That's your dough. You're going to put it in there and then you're just going to keep kneading. You're going to like do a fold over with your knuckles. So there's that. So I'm going to put that to the side and I'll do that after. So here is the kneaded dough. You have to let it rest for 10 minutes as well. After you've kneaded it, cover it with a plate and let it rest for 10 minutes.
So it's a real short, it's a brief little like rising period there.
I'm going to roll it out and then I'm going to put it in this pan. But this is what they come out like. Short, sharp strokes. I remember in my home ec in school, that was something that we had to do. And I remember my teacher always telling me short, sharp strokes. It doesn't have to be perfect shape, but then you're going to put it in a hot pan with olive oil and just cook it on each side until it's golden brown. And you'll actually see it start bubbling. Let me actually start this one and then I can go back to it. I'm going to spray a little bit of olive oil. Also, because I didn't put the fresh thyme in the ingredients, put a little bit.
You get all your flavors in there one way or the other.
And even like a little bit of garlic powder. You can add any flavor you want. And they should start bubbling and then you flip it. So I'm going to put that in.
You'll see it bubble on the top side and then you flip it over.
We will start seeing it to bubble. So that's the flatbread done. The tzatziki sauce is done. Let me show you what I'm going to do here. How to put one of these together quickly. And then I'm going to make the salad dressing. So you can put a little bit of tzatziki. And this is actually a lot better than mayonnaise, that's for sure. And then we can add some fresh tomatoes. Some red onion. Put a little couple of little pieces of red onion. If you don't like your onions harsh, you can always soak them a little bit first. And a little cucumber. And then I have just some fresh olives, just chopped up olives that I'll sprinkle on the top. It's like an olive salad. I actually bought these from Costco. That is just one put together real quick. So now we're down to the famous salad dressing. So now I have the fresh raspberries here. I've got olive oil in here. I can tell you what the ingredients are. It's 1.5 cups of raspberries, which I already measured out. So I'm going to put them in here. And then it is 1/2 cup of olive oil, which is in there. 1 tablespoon of lemon. So I'm just going to guesstimate the lemon. That's probably about a teaspoon. And then 1 tablespoon of honey. And then I'm going to do a couple of teaspoons of red wine vinegar. You can use a white vinegar, you can use an apple cider vinegar, balsamic vinegar, whatever one you want. I'm going to use the red wine because I like the color. And then we're going to sieve it through here because they have these little seeds. You see all the little seeds? So we get everything, we'll just catch them. And then you can put this over a beautiful salad. Yeah. On one side, I actually used a griddle pan before, but I actually think this is better, and I could have needed this a little bit more because, as you see, it's pretty black in it.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's okay. You know, it's all about learning. I'm learning too. So that's your dressing. Now, let me just show you the end result.
Dun, dun, dun.
So you have your flatbreads and your tzatziki sauce, and the water of the week this week is actually cucumber, lemon, and basil leaves. The sun is out. It was like, you know what? This is the day to do it. So
yeah.